When I first took the job as a night gravekeeper at Oakshade Cemetery, I thought it would be peaceful, maybe even boring. A quiet graveyard in a small rural town, far from any city noise. Just me, the old caretaker's shack, rows of tombstones and silence. I was wrong. Oakshade isn't just a cemetery. It's something else, something alive. It started during my third night on the job. I had my flashlight, my thermos of coffee, and a cheap radio crackling with static. I was halfway through my shift, sitting outside the shack, when I noticed it. A grave. Open. Not recently dug, not vandalized. Open. The earth around it looked soft, freshly turned. But I'd walked through that row just an hour ago. It had been fine. I went closer. The name on the headstone. Clara Winslow. 1893–1941. I stood there, staring into the black hole of the grave. It looked like someone had dug up from the inside, but there were no footprints, no shovel, no sound. Just the cold wind through the trees. And then, a whisper. I spun around. No one. But I swear I heard a voice. A woman's voice. Very close. I backed away and returned to the shack. Locked the door, sat in the dark, my heart pounding like a drum. Maybe it was animals. Or maybe I was tired, right? The next day I told Henry, the old man who had been the gravekeeper before me. He had worked there 31 years. Quiet guy. Always smelled like tobacco and soil. He said nothing for a long moment. Then without looking at me, he said, "Don't go near Clara's grave at night. If it's open, let it be." That was it. No explanation, no questions, just that warning. The next night I didn't plan to check, but around 3:12 a.m. the radio in the shack crackled with static, louder than ever before. Then, clear as day, a woman's voice. "Help me." I froze. I turned the volume down. The voice whispered again. "He won't let me go." I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The air felt heavy, still. I walked past the rows of graves until I reached Clara Winslow's. It was open again, but this time, something was sticking out. A hand. Pale, thin. Dirty fingers reaching up, motionless in the moonlight. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. I just stood there, paralyzed. Then the hand twitched, just slightly, and I ran. I sprinted back to the shack, slammed the door, locked it, and didn't breathe until the sun rose. In the morning, I returned to the grave with Henry. It was closed. Not just closed, sealed tight, like nothing had happened. No loose dirt, no hand, no sign. Henry didn't say a word, but when we returned to the shack, he reached into a drawer and handed me something wrapped in cloth. I kept the key in my coat pocket every night after that. I couldn't stop thinking about that hand. The whisper, the name, Clara Winslow, kept circling in my mind like a haunting echo. 3 nights passed. No disturbances. But on the 4th night, just before 2 a.m., the radio screamed, not whispered, screamed. The sound was inhuman, a distorted mechanical screech like 1,000 voices crying out at once. And then, silence. I stepped outside. Mist blanketed the ground, thick, cold. The graves looked like shadows stretching in every direction. I walked toward Clara's grave. It was open again. This time, it wasn't a hand. It was a face, her face, pale, rotting, eyes white and empty, yet fixed on me. And the mouth moved. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the lips. The crypt. I ran. Back to the shack, hand shaking, I pulled out the key Henry gave me. It had no markings, but something told me it would fit somewhere beneath the chapel. The old cemetery chapel had been locked for years, vines and moss wrapped around the doors. A faded sign read, "Condemned." I used the key. It clicked. The door creaked open to reveal a spiral staircase descending into darkness. I lit my lantern and descended. The air grew colder with every step. The walls were damp. I heard dripping, then whispering, voices all around me. Faint, familiar. The staircase ended in a stone corridor. The walls were lined with plaques, hundreds of names. Most of them matched graves in the cemetery. Some didn't. One read, Clara Winslow, Keeper. A chill ran down my spine. At the end of the corridor, I found it, a massive stone door covered in carvings I couldn't understand. But in the center, a perfect slot for the key. I turned it. And the door opened. What I saw inside made me drop the lantern. Inside the crypt was a room, round, ancient, lit by torches that shouldn't have been burning. In the center stood a man, tall, pale, wearing a caretaker's uniform, but old-fashioned, like from 100 years ago. His eyes were pitch black. He smiled. "You're early," he said, my voice caught in my throat. "Who are you?" "I'm the one who keeps them in," he replied. "The ones who try to leave." He pointed behind him. I turned. Dozens of people, standing motionless, frozen in place like statues, eyes wide open, mouths agape, some in hospital gowns, some in old clothes, some in burial garments. Among them, Clara. She looked at me, her mouth trembling. "Help." The man stepped in front of her. "They belong here. They signed the pact." "What pact?" I asked. "The pact of silence. This land was cursed long ago. Every grave holds a soul bound by their final secret." Clara tried to speak. She tried to escape. That's why she suffers. I couldn't believe it. He moved closer. "But you opened the gate, you broke the seal." "I didn't mean to," I said. "I was just—" He held up his hand. "It doesn't matter. Now you stay too." Suddenly the walls of the crypt shook. The voices got louder, the lantern flared. And then everything went dark. I woke up on the chapel floor. It was morning. The door was sealed behind me. The key was gone. I stumbled back to the shack. Henry was there waiting. "You went in, didn't you?" he asked. I nodded. My throat was dry. My heart was racing. "Then you've seen him," Henry whispered. "The warden. He said I have to stay, that I broke the seal." Henry lit a cigarette. "We all break the seal. Eventually, the trick is to not get caught." He showed me something. A journal, filled with pages of entries, dating back to 1903, all from different gravekeepers. Each one described the same thing. The grave that opens, the woman who whispers, the crypt, the warden. And in each entry, the final words were the same: "Help me." I couldn't leave. Every time I tried to quit, strange things would happen. My car wouldn't start, GPS would glitch, emails would bounce. No matter what, I was pulled back to Oakshade. But I had to try one last time. I waited until the moon was full, went to Clara's grave. This time, I brought a shovel. I dug. Deeper. Deeper. Until I found her coffin. I opened it. She was awake, eyes open, lips moving. "Take the book," she whispered. "End the silence." In her hands, a leather-bound book, old and glowing faintly. I took it. The earth around me shook. Screams erupted from the soil. I ran to the chapel. The door opened before I touched it. Inside the crypt, the warden was waiting. "You shouldn't have taken that." "It's over," I said. "The silence ends now." And I read the names aloud, one by one. With each name, a soul stepped forward, free. Clara. Then others. The warden screamed. The crypt walls cracked. And then Oakshade burned that night. Fire erupted from beneath the soil, swallowing graves, trees, and the chapel. I escaped, barely. Clara's voice led me through the smoke. I woke up in a hospital days later. They said they found me miles from town. Oakshade Cemetery no longer exists. The town sealed the land. No one goes near. Henry vanished. The book, gone. But some nights, when it's very quiet, my radio crackles, and I hear Clara. "Thank you," she says. "Don't forget us." And I never will. Because now I keep the names, and I know someday someone else will hear the whispers, just like I did. And maybe, just maybe, they'll open the grave and start it all over again.